Good afternoon to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your hurricane outlook and discussion for Monday, the 24th of September, 2018. Let's start everything off by looking at the total precipitable water, and this gives us an idea of how much water is in the atmosphere. All of it, the total precipitable water, not half the precipitable water, but all of it. And you can see some very interesting things. You can see this is Kirk. What's left of it, it's opened back up into a tropical wave again. But that is a large envelope of energy right there. There's another one coming off Africa right here. You can clearly see it has that S shape to it. See that right there? So this is going to be a player at some point down the road, probably over here somewhere or over here, either in the Western Caribbean or the Southeastern Pacific. We also have 98L, which is trying its best to make a name for itself. What would that name be? Maybe they would call it Florence again, but I doubt it. I think enough energy from Florence was whisked off into the jet stream, and so this would be, if it became a tropical storm and needed a name other than a depression, it would be Matthew. At least that's what I think. And then this is Leslie over here, subtropical storm, and this is going to be a weird mishmash of who knows what over the next week to 10 days. The tropics are going to stay very busy for sure. And a lot of that, if we look at the sea surface temperature anomalies, this is from the National Hurricane Center site, the Reynolds method, the Dr. Richard Reynolds methodology. And I mean, look at this. What a change from earlier this summer. And let me switch the color over to blue here. Only a small area, relatively speaking, is below the long-term average. Most of the main development region now is running above the long-term average over here. A lot of this is because of upwelling, churning because of Florence and Isaac and Helene over here. And so that's from the hurricanes mixing up the oceans through here. Everything else is just warmer than it should be. Northern Gulf of Mexico, almost 2 degrees Celsius. So, the rest of the Caribbean, at least a half a degree Celsius above the long-term average. Northwest Atlantic, well above the long-term average. And so there you go. That's why we're having all of this, at least part of it, anomalous ridging sitting over this part of the world. And, summertime continues. I took my children down to the beach last night, Wrightsville Beach, and you could just still feel the heat coming right off the ocean in these waves of air moving at you off the ocean. It was incredible. Felt that off and on all summer, especially in the evening hours as the land cools. You still had these waves of heat literally rolling in off the ocean. Felt like you were standing close to a large fire, and every once in a while you would feel the heat from that fire. Really remarkable. So if you look at what's happening out there from the National Hurricane Center map, Kirk no longer being advisories written for, however you want to say it. The last advisory was written. This will probably make a comeback at some point. The model's indicating that it could do so anywhere in this region. And you folks down here in the Lesser Antilles, you know as well as I do that it could just be a tropical wave, a tropical depression, a disturbance, and it can bring a lot of rainfall, flooding, and misery. And so we'll certainly keep an eye on this. The downgrade doesn't downgrade its danger from rain. Rain. I have hammered on that for the last several years, and I'm going to continue to. We have to pay attention to the wind and the storm surge, of course, especially storm surge. But we're building better against the wind. Not much you can do for trees falling on your house. You don't want to clear cut everything. But we need to focus a lot more on rain and look at that in terms of the overall picture. Here's 98L. This was recently, there we go. Interesting. You have like remnants, and then I've never seen that before. I just refreshed this clearly, and there you go. All kinds of weird stuff. I like that, how they just barely missed the Outer Banks. Very good, very good. Maybe it'll do that. Anyway, 50% chance of development now. We're going to take a look at this closer. This is Leslie. This is a soon-to-be-named new system. This situation out here is just going to be wild. You wait and see. And then the remnants of Kirk, 50% chance of coming back as it approaches the islands. All right, so that's the stage. It's set and ready to go. So let's look at the satellite animation here, the wide shot, and you can see these features I was pointing out on the precipitable water. There's 98L. Definitely has become more organized and blossomed, full of convection, but still has a ways to go. This is the subtropical storm and whatever that's going to become. This is strong upper level winds right here. And then there we have the remnants of Kirk, and that's going to probably make a comeback as it moves towards the west-northwest with time. And then we do have another system that's going to come off, and this tropical wave energy will propagate westward over time, and we'll have to watch that. So plenty of action for sure. Hang on, let's see who's beeping me. All right. Had to have keep the iPhone off of mute lately, because you never know who's looking for you. So anyway, you probably heard that. Nobody that important. And if they knew who it was, they'd be like, hey, thanks, Mark. Nevertheless, so let's get back to it here. 98L, earlier it was like, ooh, wow, look at the low-level circulation there, trying to get organized, but then it kind of dissipated, and I'm not sure what's happening, if we're getting a new low-level center trying to form up under the convection, or what. There's definitely a larger envelope of low pressure and counterclockwise turning through here, and the waters are still very warm in the low to mid 80s. So you folks up here along the Outer Banks especially, it could get kind of squally, and you'll be able to see this on Morehead City radar, maybe even out of Wakefield near Norfolk as this comes closer. I'm thinking, I know I have to go up here to Rodanthe and grab my camera. Remember, that was the very first one set up for Florence 2 weeks ago tomorrow. Crazy. It's out on the Rodanthe Pier. I got to go get it. So I may go up there tomorrow and do that, and just coincidentally, this might be coming up there tomorrow, so I can give you a first-hand account as to what's going on. What about the Eastern Pacific? I do want to mention this area real quick, because we do have the worry that eventually, all right, are we going to cooperate or not? We do have the worry that eventually the Eastern Pacific will produce a system that will curve up more towards this area, but not yet, which is good. So I just want to point this out. We do have this system here, well on its way becoming the next name storm in the Eastern Pacific. I've lost track of what we're doing over there, but since these are not threatening Central America, Mexico, the Baja, or the Southwest U.S., I don't feel too guilty about not knowing where we are on the list over there. And then this system, forget about it, not going to do much. But as these tropical waves come across, if they don't develop over here, let's put an X there, and they do develop over here, some of these could eventually start to make their way north towards Mexico. Not yet, but it could happen. Remember Patricia, late October of 2015. And just a real big thank you to the Patreon supporters that have been with me for 2 years, and especially this year. It really had a big jump, a wonderful way to support creators such as myself, entrepreneurs, and we need your help. So if you want to become a patron, that's how you do it, patreon.com/HurricaneTrack. And I appreciate you helping me. I've got a long way to go and a lot of stuff to do in the future, and I'm going to bring you with me on that ride, so to speak. It's going to be incredible. And our current patrons, you know what we have accomplished just during Florence, and even going back to Gordon, and then it's hard to believe I was in Hawaii for Hurricane Lane, that of course never made it to Hawaii as a hurricane or anything like that. Heavy rain, but wow, all of this in one season, and we still have about a third left to go. All right, so things look pretty good as we start the week. No major issues, and hopefully it'll stay that way. We shall see. A lot of people still dealing with floodwaters rising, the Waccamaw River, Conway through Georgetown in South Carolina. That's the big story. But we still have the flooding on the Cape Fear River and keeping people in and out from getting in and out of Wilmington. Highway 421, flew the quadcopter over that yesterday. That's on my YouTube channel and on the HurricaneTrack Facebook if you haven't seen that. We're still dealing with Florence 10 days later. Of course we are. It's a big massive disruptive event. It shouldn't be any surprise. Okay, well, that's it from me for today. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. I'll be back with more for you tomorrow. I'm Mark Stout with HurricaneTrack.com. Have a great rest of your Monday. I'll talk to you again tomorrow.